We are grading every single NFL draft class based on three categories. First of all, we're going to grade based off of whether or not the team drafted the players that fit their needs for next season, as well as the overall talent that they got, just assessing the draft class as a whole. And then finally, the value. Is each player worth where they were drafted at? Were they a steal at that position, or did the team maybe reach a little bit and not get as good a value as they could have if they had traded the pick? And then after that, we're going to go ahead and give them an overall grade. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the video.
The saga continues as the Cleveland Browns have probably the most interesting draft class of the 2025 NFL draft, needing a quarterback, offensive tackle, wide receiver, defensive tackle, and a linebacker. And with their first round pick at pick number 5, they took Mason Graham, a defensive tackle out of Michigan. And this is right where he was expected to get drafted. Granted, they did trade back to take him instead of taking Travis Hunter or anyone else at pick number 2. But overall, a excellent draft pick, addresses the defensive tackle need. This pass rush and just run defense is going to be deadly with Myles Garrett on the edge as well, with Mason Graham just being a large human being. So overall, outstanding pick for the Browns here.
Yeah, it's a really good pick. I would say the pick is good, maybe not as much the trade, but we're grading the picks here. With the first pick of day two, they grabbed Carson Schwessinger, a linebacker out of UCLA. A very solid pick overall. He was projected late second round to maybe mid second round. But overall, I don't think it's that much of a reach considering he was the second ranked linebacker.
3 picks later, they took Quinshawn Judkins, running back out of Ohio State, transferred from Ole Miss to Ohio State. Another very solid pick, definitely one of the best available at the time. Interesting that they took Quinshon Judkins over someone like Trevion Henderson, who was still available, or Caleb Johnson, but still a very solid running back. Considering Nick Chubb is a free agent, definitely could fill that Nick Chubb role very well for the Browns. So overall, pretty solid pick. Maybe reached a little bit, but if it's a guy you like, don't blame you for reaching that.
Next, they grabbed Harold Fannin Jr. out of Bowling Green. And I know that Connor likes this pick. He's a big fan of Harold Fannin Jr., arguably the best tight end in college football last season. He had an incredible season, led the FBS in receptions and receiving yards per game. So, a really, really great pass catcher to add. A little bit curious that they added him while still having Njoku, but maybe that just means that they're going to have some nasty two tight end sets this year.
And now begins the interesting part of the draft. With a late pick in the third round, with Shadur Sanders still on the board, the Browns chose Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon. He was a massive reach. He was the overall ranked 217th player, the 10th ranked quarterback in this draft class. I was shocked to see him go anywhere near day 2. And with Shadur on the board, especially with all the links the Browns had to him, it made zero sense that they were to take Dylan Gabriel here instead of someone like Shadur or any of the other quarterbacks available. Still think he's a solid player, but just a very strange pick.
Back to reality, though, with the round four pick, and they grabbed Dylan Sampson, a running back out of Tennessee. A great pick here. He was projected, mid third round. They got him late fourth. And overall, he is a really, really good running back. And I think he's going to be another really solid addition to this room with him and Judkins and Jerome Ford. I think it's going to be a really, really good room in 2025.
Yeah, hitting every possible potential in the running back room, rushing, receiving, pass protection, just a very solid running back room. And with their final pick of the 2025 NFL draft, the drama finally came to an end as they took Shadur Sanders with the sixth pick in the fifth round. Like I was saying with the Dylan Gabriel pick, I was shocked Shadur Sanders was available into the fifth round. Um, even though I think maybe he was a little overrated, I still think that the talent is there. Just he should have gone to some other team prior to this, and I'm shocked that he did not. But this sets up an interesting QB battle between Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, and Joe Flacco. That Cleveland Browns quarterback room is absolutely hilarious. My guess is Joe Flacco is going to be the day one starter, and then we'll see either Gabriel or Sanders later on into the season. But definitely a very interesting draft class from the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, I mean, taking two quarterbacks has got to be the most Browns thing of all time. And especially if you're going to pass on Shedeur Sanders on day two, why are you taking him on day three? It really makes no sense. They only should have picked one of them, and because they went with Dylan Gabriel first, they should have stuck with him. I think it was a bad move to end up taking Sanders later on. If you wanted him, you should have just taken him in the third round. So that's my personal take on it. I think it was very dumb to take two quarterbacks. Overall, we're gonna give them a B plus for needs though. They got their quarterback, whichever one they pick, I guess, because they haven't picked yet. They grabbed a D tackle and a linebacker with their first two picks, so it is going to be a B plus for meeting their needs. Talent wise, going to give them an A minus. I really like all of these players. They all have a lot of potential, so there's really nothing to complain about talent wise. And then value wise, it is going to be a B. A lot of the stuff hurting this grade, there's a slight reach with Schlesinger, but the main thing is wasting a pick on a quarterback that they did not need, whichever one it turns out to be. So overall, this is going to be a B plus draft class from the Browns still. They tried to mess it up, but somehow still got a decent grade.
Yeah, I think it's going to end up working out for them, or it won't, and we'll see this again in 2 years. But like you were saying, Jonah, taking two quarterbacks in the same draft class, two that are very capable of being starters, is just really strange because you're going to end up having one of them on your bench that's probably going to be the second or third string. But outside of that, getting the D tackle, the best D tackle in Mason Graham is huge for this draft class, and getting a good amount of other offensive weapons with Judkins, Sampson, and Fana Jr. Like you said, big fan. Overall, very, very solid draft class despite the drama. So I think the Browns have a lot of potential going into next season. We'll just see who the quarterback is. So thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more of our videos, and we will see you in the next one.